first of all, for everyone to think about what their water is, what your favorite water is, what your first memory of it is in childhood, what type of water that is, and what connotation you have with that water. Is that a good memory, hopefully, a scary memory, or fond memory? What is that type of water? And I'll give you, it can be the ocean, it can be a lake, it can be a river. So think about that. If you want to put that in the chat, what your favorite water is, if you have a favorite water. If anyone wants to share. I don't think we have anything coming in the chat, but if we do, Tina, let me know. And so I'll give you some little prompts, so maybe you can think about what that water might be, or you might remember a childhood experience. Looks like we've got one chat. Should we look and see what that one is? Ocean in Hong Kong. Awesome. So this is in Wyoming. This is a trip I took with my family last year. Just really beautiful. You've got the Tetons in the background. This is a stream going through with the reflection. Try to advance the slide and it's not moving. There we go. This is a river in Colorado, so maybe you're fond of rivers. This is a lake, again, up by the Tetons, Jenny Lake, it's called. This should look familiar. This is San Mateo coastline. Got the ocean there, it's beautiful. It might be a tropical place. You might see some sea turtles. Maybe it's, this is some local fountains. I believe this is in San Mateo, San Jose, for those of you that have visited these fountains. Now I've got this actor here, Jeff Black. Oh my gosh, I'm forgetting. I think it's, yes. His name is right now escaping me. That's so funny. He takes a bath to relax, and that's his go-to water. And then I grew up here in Marin County, where I'm speaking to you from. This is Mount Tamalpais. This is a lake up on the mountain, and then of course the Golden Gate Bridge. So I grew up by the bay and the ocean, and was very accustomed to water. And it wasn't until I went away to school, to college at UC Davis, that I really realized how much water had an influence on my life. And I didn't realize to the extreme. When I went up there, I was encountered a lot of fields, cattle, a lot of livestock, and my first question was, where's the water? And someone directed me to this little creek. And I thought, wow, that's definitely not what I'm accustomed to, but I'm going to have to get used to that. And so I did migrate down to, this is San Diego, lived there for some time and had these beautiful sunsets. And no matter what time of day it was, whether I had worked a full day and didn't get out until night, I had to get down to the ocean. And I thought to myself, maybe there's something wrong with me. Like, why do I have to do this? And sometimes I would get out of my car. Sometimes I just sit in my car. I might go for a walk on the beach, but I knew I had to get to the ocean. And it wasn't until I read Blue Mind that I understood why. And then this is where I recently have been living in Sausalito, on a houseboat overlooking the bay in Mount Tam. So definitely water is a big part of my life, and maybe it is for some of you too. So this book, Blue Mind, came out almost 10 years ago by a gentleman by the name of Wallace J. Nichols. He goes by Jay, and he is a marine biologist by trade, and he was studying sea turtles. He has some TED Talks on sea turtles as well as Blue Mind now. And he became fascinated in the connection that we have with water, and how this can really affect our health and well-being, our happiness, our productivity, our creativity. And he started to gather research and tried to get others to write this. He thought that there could be other professionals that might do the better job, and he couldn't get any takers. And so he took it on. And I'll provide some information at the end, but he's actually been doing an online book club where he reads this book a little bit each night for a few months at a time. So it's just got started. So for any of you that are on Facebook, and then he also posts, I think, some of the videos on his site if you're not on Facebook, that you can get a taste of him. He's a great guy. I've had the privilege to talk to him. And he's just very passionate about this whole concept of Blue Mind. And we'll get into that a little bit more. He's had an annual conference bringing together neuropsychologists, surfers, artists, all different types of professions coming together to talk about what water can do for us, and how to create that connection with water, how to create, healthier water systems and have water accessible to all, and have people understand what that can mean to them. And the blue mind definition is pertaining to a mildly meditative state characterized by calm, peacefulness, unity, a sense of general happiness and satisfaction with life and in the moment. And it's a state of mind inspired by water, the elements associated with water, from the color blue to the words we use to describe the sensation of immersion. And Jay Nichols has this blue mind statement, and it's to make blue mind common knowledge and practice to improve emotional wellness, restore the health of lakes, rivers, oceans, and waterways, and boost a regenerative blue economy. Scroll down to the next one. So there really is a blue mind science actually underway, a study of aquatic environments and health benefits, this emerging field of research of health and wellness practices that's been going on for some time, and it's really coming more into the limelight. You'll see, all sorts of talks, books on nature and how this affects us, and we're learning too that all types of nature that can affect us in a positive way. And especially when it's green with the blue, it seems to be most effective and most desirable to people. So, and hopefully you can see, I realize that this might be in the way. I don't know, is this blocking the title for you? The title of this? I'm not sure if it is. Oops.
I can see.
You can, okay, because it looks like, if I get rid of this, I'm not sure if I'll lose anything by doing that. Well, we'll just leave it for now. It says Blue Mind Science on the top. So Jay Nichols, maybe if I put this down here, I don't know. He came up with these terms to provide some kind of easy reference. He calls these kind of cartoon characters, if you will. So red mind, he describes as kind of a chronic stress, agitated, distracted, anxious, not our best selves, overconnected, which of course we see a lot of that right now with the way that we all do things and are tied to our phones and all, overstimulated in the base state of our society. Now he talks about how we need a bit of this to keep, be assertive and to be productive, but too much can lead to the next cartoon character, if you will, which is gray mind. This is burnout, fatigue, and depression. So too much of the red mind can lead to the gray mind. But we really want to be in the blue mind state of being. And this is our well-being, default mode, creative, happy, peaceful place, insightful and productive. So these are kind of on a continuum, if you will, but we're trying to get towards the blue mind. And so Jay encourages all of us to hit the blue reset button. And this can really mean connecting with water of any form. So this can be ocean, lake, river, swimming pool, a fountain, and it can be even virtual. It can be, something on your screen. It can be something that actually even conjure up in your head. I know that Tina was just talking about Bali a moment ago, and it just took me right there. And so we can actually create a certain state just by, our thoughts. And it does help to be in the close proximity to nature, and we can get even more benefits. There's something about being in the water and swimming which alters my mood, gets my thoughts going as nothing else can. Theories and stories would construct themselves in my mind as I swam to and fro, or round and round. Sentences and paragraphs would write themselves in my mind, and at such times I would have to come to shore every so often to discharge them. And this is a quote by Oliver Sacks, physician, professor of neurology, and best-selling author. So as you all know, we have a biological affinity to water. We need it to survive. Our body's about 60% water, brain is about 73% water, and our brain actually prefers the color blue to all other colors. So there's cognitive, emotional, physical benefits from water. It can really increase our ability to focus. And when we're close to water, we see water, there's this kind of feel-good hormone effect. We've got dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin in play. Levels of our stress hormone cortisol drop. And this is really kind of why we're innately attracted to blue spaces that help us relax and restore. So waterways can give us a sense of awe and wonder. I mean, really, I think if you can think of when you're in nature, having those awe moments, whether it's, a sunset over the ocean or a waterfall like this. And right now, I know in California, and I know in Marin right now, I just went on a hike yesterday and there's all sorts of waterfalls flowing. So it does, give you that moment of, wow, this is, beautiful, something bigger than yourself. And then it's a place where we can connect with others as well, and then also connect with our inner selves. So there's this neurological cascade that occurs within us. And we have just all sorts of different benefits and effects, from boosting our compassion, building trust, as we talked about, reducing cortisol and inflammation, enhances our immune system, reduces heart and breathing rate, promotes creativity, provides that sense of solitude. So you could, go into nature and just be there with the elements around you, and not necessarily have to be with another person. Can give us a break, induces relaxation and nostalgia. We have certain memories, being in nature and being with our, sense blue memories, creates connection and a shift from me to a we perspective. It is life, I think, to watch the water. A man can learn so many things. This is author Nicholas Sparks that said that. And as you know, our planet, Earth, we're referred to as the blue marble. And I think it's been questioned. There's some question about whether it should be called Earth, or actually, this it's more blue than actually Earth. And so Jay Nichols actually passes around blue marbles. If you go to his, which I have a slide for this later on, but he lives in Carmel, and there's a free blue mine library. And there's generally, at least when I went there, there was blue marbles in there, and he passes them out to remind people, kind of reference to where we're from, and then as well our connection with water. And I think there's also a reference at NASA. They always, when they're looking for life, they're looking for signs of water. So always this reference to water. And there's actually doctors that can put on blue glasses. You're putting on a blue filter through how you see things. It's said that some neurosurgeons wear blue filtered glasses while operating on brains to remove the red signals and help calm them by seeing blue instead of red. There's also water therapy, and maybe some of you have even tried this yourself. This was a slide, actually, not slide, I should say, that I took during the height of the pandemic. This is in Italy, and they took, actually, sorry, in Spain. I know there's one in Italy too, where, and it says here, he went into intensive care, came out today. He will begin his journey to recover inside the hospital, but first sand, sun, and sea. So, really the significance of this is this can be just as much healing. In addition, a complement to medicine as well. It's in a sense a blue medicine. Live in the sunshine, swim in the sea, drink in the wild air. This is by Emerson. That's quite a view, huh? The patient and the nursing medical team out of the water, helping him be nourished in the way that could be healing to him. So this is kind of a I'll give you a little visual too of how profound water can be to our healing. I could never stay long enough on the shore. The tang of the untainted, fresh, and free sea air was like a cool, quieting thought. Helen Keller. And overseas, there is what's referred to as blue health. There's research investigating links between the environment, climate, and health, understanding how water, close proximity to water, how that can affect people's health and well-being. And so we're talking about, blue environment, blue spaces, and a lot of this is going on even with how developments for buildings and homes and office space, bringing in nature or surrounding with nature or both, and how these interventions can improve people's physical activity, access to nature close by, and their mental well-being. This is Stanford virtual lab. And so there's a lot of virtual reality that's taking place. And so if you can't actually get somewhere, and if you're not able to get outside and get to the water, you could have this virtual experience and then connect with your state of blue mind. I created this for some clients, and this is actually something that you can tap into. These actually were linked to the Monterey Bay Aquarium. They've got, I think it's from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. At least it used to be. You could go on their site, and they've got these live videos of the sea life, usually to some nice relaxing music. So it can give you a moment to kind of take a break. It says, mind is like water. When it's turbulent, it's difficult to see. When it's calm, everything becomes clear. The heart of man is very much like the sea. It has its storms, it has its tides and its depths, and it has its pearls too. It's Vincent van Gogh. So this is down in San Diego, and I know they do this all over, I think in Santa Cruz as well, where they take veterans and those with disabilities to the water, and it's life-changing. For some, it could actually save their life if they were depressed and potentially suicidal. So it gives them new meaning and purpose, and the skills and resiliency that they can continue on and even do some of these amazing things that maybe they hadn't even tried before they had an injury or some type of disability. This is a surf for special needs camp that I participated in, and it was just amazing to see their smiles on the faces of kids that sometimes don't even smile, and the reactions of their parents, to just see them embrace this experience. It was pretty amazing. And this is another expression of water for people coming together and celebrating through water, bringing people together. You can also have blue mind through art. This is Southern California artist and Grant Peikoff. So to me, just even looking at that kind of creates a certain sensation. Blue mind through music. This is actually a song by Alexi Murdoch called Blue Mind. And it says, remember when you were only a child, start to see with your blue mind. Don't be afraid of what you find. It's a nice song. Mary Oliver has this poem called Breakage. I go down to the edge of the sea, how everything shines in the morning light, the cusp of the whelk, the broken cupboard of the clam, the opened blue mussels, moon snails pale pink and barnacle scarred, and nothing at all, whole or shut, but tattered split, dropped by the gulls, onto the gray rocks and all the moisture gone. It is like a schoolhouse of little words, thousands of words. First you figure out what each one means, the jungle, the periwinkle, the jingle, sorry, the periwinkle, the scallop, full of moonlight. Then slowly you begin to read the whole story. There's also, this is I think 24/7, 24 hours of ocean sounds. So you can definitely get this through virtual. Get in the water, walk along the water, move across its surface, get under it, sit in it, leap into it, listen to it, touch the water, close your eyes, and drink a big glass. Fall more deeply in love with your water in all its shapes, colors, and forms. Let it heal you and make you a better, stronger version of yourself. You need water, and water needs you. And there's some really fascinating research with the brain and what's actually occurring within and why we're drawn to the water. According to, I'm going to say his name wrong, but Michael Merzarek, PhD neuroscientist at UC San Francisco, he said the brain is always trying to record and interpret the meaning of things and events. The brain adapts its perceptual model continually to distinguish relevant from irrelevant information in its surroundings. You can think of it as normalizing the background. So in a natural environment, on or near water, there's a high degree of predictability. Unlike a busy street, a body of water is largely the same from moment to moment. The background we see is fairly controlled, which allows the brain to relax. And then against that consistent background, I'm going to push this so you can be looking at water while I'm saying this. Against the consistent background, the brain continues to search for something that wasn't there before, since the essence of survival is the correct interpretation of things that don't fit into the landscape. So when the brain notices disturbance on the water, like a wave, a bird, a seal, there's a sense of surprise and novelty. And then it's accompanied by a pleasurable hit of dopamine. So I think it's really interesting to think about what's going on when we're looking at water and we're seeing that seal pop its head up. Because bodies of waters change and stay the same simultaneously, we experience both soothing familiarity, stimulating novelty when we look at them. This is regularity without monotony, at least in my mind, and the perfect recipe for triggering the state of involuntary attention, which is the brain's default network. So this is really essential to our creativity and problem solving, and puts us in this dreamy state of involuntary attention. That's really characteristic of blue mind. And I was going to mention too, that I didn't mention before, was Paul Piff. I'm not sure if any of you are familiar with him. He just spoke at the TED Talk this last fall in Marin. And it's Paul Piff, if you want to look up his work. He's down at UC Irvine. He's a psychologist, and he studies awe. So we were talking about awe when you're looking at something beautiful, something in nature, and especially with water. And he's suggested through his research that there are socio-emotional benefits. He's noticed that his awestruck research subjects have shown greater generosity, more ethical decision-making. They're kinder towards others, and they have this decreased entitlement. And awe is said to be a fundamental part of our human experience, making our bodies and minds more receptive to new information, new experience, and life's deeper meaning. So, question to you: how you can connect with water more in your day? If you think about, how you normally go about your day and what you're close to, and whether it's a trip that you take, or whether it's just driving down the street to connect with water, or maybe it's actually your shower, your bath. Maybe it's a fish tank that you have. Maybe it's a water fountain that you have, or maybe it's actually pulling up some virtual water through your computer or your devices. Maybe it's a picture on your wall. Maybe it's just, conjuring up that image, those blue memories that you have. And then, as I mentioned, Jay Nichols is having this Blue Mind online book club. He's going on this 10th year of doing this. It's pretty amazing. He says each year he kind of revisits this and thinks of questions if he's going to do it again. But he feels that the information is so valuable, and he really has this mission to spread. Looks like we're getting someone that wants to get in, to spread the knowledge about Blue Mind and give people this tool. And he talks about there's many tools for us to enhance our health and well-being, how we eat. I'm a dietitian, so I'm definitely right there with that, as well as mindfulness, as well as connecting with others. So lots of different tools that we can use to enhance our health and well-being, and nature really is one of those easy, it can be an easy way to affect ourselves in a really positive way, and to hopefully then care about the nature that we have around us, and the blue water, whether it's oceans, rivers, lakes, streams, our water system. And actually, he said in his Blue Mind book club the other night that he wanted to also make distinguish between the types of water. And right now we've been having this deluge of water, and unfortunately it has had some negative effects, in our communities, loss of property, loss of life. So it's not to say that all water can create this positive effect, but it's really the welcome. He described it as the welcome water. So it's water that we choose to connect with that makes us feel good, whether it's jumping in a shower to kind of reset, or it's going down to the bay in your area. And again, you can participate in this. It's online every night. I should say every night. He was doing it previous years at a certain time, but now he's kind of doing it. He's on the road right now, traveling, so it's just at different times, and it's on Facebook Live, so it'll be recorded, so you can listen to it at any time. Let me go down to the next slide. There is going to be his annual 100 Days of Blue Mind, and so he'll post things on his Patreon page, on Facebook and on Instagram, and so that's fun to participate in. There's also World Blue Mind Day that he's initiated. So this will be this year in July. And so it's really a day to connect with water, to remind yourself about the benefit of connecting with your favorite water, and then taking others and sharing this knowledge. And this is the free Blue Mind Library that I mentioned that's in Carmel. He actually lives there with his family, his wife and daughters. Well, one of them just went away to college, but he unfortunately was affected by, some years back, there were the lightning storms, and they had a beautiful home in Davenport, and they were actually rented out, Airbnb as their source of income, that they had built from the ground up, environmentally, all sorts of considerations, and it burned in the fires. And there's a stream that goes by it, and his concern, first of all, is loss of property, and then their whole family, all their memories that were connected with that, and their possessions. But then his next thought was, I need to make sure that this doesn't go into the stream and head to the ocean. So he was very intent very early on in trying to clean the site after the fires and make sure that it didn't contaminate the water. So that was definitely something that he shared and can teach others, that, that's obviously possessions are important, but he felt that the most important thing was, our natural resources. And he also would go there and, have refuge with that place that meant so much to him and still does. And I think they've created a campsite actually on there, so people can maybe rent the space there in Davenport. And then there's some resources, and I'm happy to share those afterwards. If you actually search for Blue Mind, and I think it is, I had to put down a reference, I think it's getbluemind.com or wallace-nichols.org. If you just put in Wallace J. Nichols or Blue Mind, you'll get lots of information. So any questions, any thoughts? Let's see what we have in the chat too. Looks like freshwater anywhere. Ocean second, I'd say that for sure. For me, Santa Cruz looks like. Yeah, anyone have any thoughts about water? Does this bring up any memories for you, or has water been important to you? Yeah, sure.
Florida, is that why when people retire they want to go to Florida, because of the water?
I would imagine, of course, so, for warm weather
and everything, but
yeah,
is that one of the reasons?
I would think so. I think I would say it's safe to say it's the warm weather, it's the closeness to the ocean, I think probably community. So all those things together. But people do tend to, if you hear people talk about retirement, a lot of times it is a place where there's water. I guess not necessarily always. There's Palm Deserts. People do sometimes retire out down there, but I think for the most part, and actually even in Palm Desert, there's lots of fountain, there's pools and fountains, and water's going all the time to water the golf courses. So I know there's a lot of water in that respect. But yeah, interesting observation though. I think that sometimes we are driven to water that we don't even realize why. I think there's a lot of ceremonies and different occasions where you gather people, and it's oftentimes it may involve water or more both. I know sometimes we go hiking here and you might have, both. You might have the redwoods. Now, of course, you might have some waterfalls that are going through the redwoods, or you may have, sight of the bay or the ocean if you're on a hike or a bike ride or a walk. But I think it's really the point of this discussion here is just to remind everyone that water, it's something that really can enhance our well-being. And again, it can be something that's in your house, in your home, a fountain, your shower, your bath, and it can be something close by as well. I wonder if anyone wants to share any of their favorite water experiences, or have they read Blue Mind? I do actually recommend it on Audible, because you'll hear Jay Nichols speak. And then if you want to log into Facebook daily and listen to him, that's another way too. I can go and stop sharing too if you want me. Tina, if you wanted to bring up everyone.
Sure. I'd just like to share with you one of my favorite water spots and places in the world is Lake Tahoe. There's more beautiful than looking at the mountains, the nature, and the lake. It is. Oh
my gosh, for sure.
It gives me all the peace in the world. Yeah, wonderful place.
It really is. It's like heaven over there.
Yeah.
Sparkling blue water, just so peaceful. And the trees, the pine trees too, that you're smelling when you're there. Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Yeah. Amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. And not too far away from all of us.
No, I know we're very fortunate.
We are. We definitely are.
Well, one of my
Any others?
experience in last month is I took a trip to Caribbean for 2 weeks, as I was telling Mira,
Amazing.
Florida,
Yes.
and I don't know, every day I was just happy. I've never been so happy. And I
Yes.
believe it is the water everywhere surrounding me.
Yeah.
Of course, being on vacation, but it's not just that, because it's very different than other vacations I have.
Mm-hmm. There is so much to it. I mean, you have the negative ions, of course, too, from the seawater. But I think, all this research that's showing that these, all this neurological cascade chain of events that is happening within us that we don't even realize. We don't, we just kind of know that we're happier in nature, but there's actually, the science behind it.
I grew up on a lake, and now
Oh, wow.
I know why I miss it so much.
Ah, yes, for sure.
And now I understand why.
Yes, I did too. I was wondering why I was so fixated on it when I got to Davis, when I was like, where's the water? And I thought that maybe that was a little bit extreme, but now, yeah, I realized too. And so, I think having a connection with it every day, with nature, some kind of, blue connection, can, add to our happiness and our health. And a lot of which we're going to talk about next month, blue zones. A lot of the places where there's people that are living the longest, healthiest, and happiness, many of those places are near or at least surrounded by water. So I think that's an interesting fact too. I'm glad everyone was able to join. I know it's a long day, probably, if you've been participating in the community day. So I'm glad that people stuck it out.
Yeah, well worth it. Thank you.
Oh, good. Yes, I definitely encourage you, if you have a chance, to listen to Jay Nichols on his Facebook Live. It's fun to just listen to him, and he'll share, new information. You get a sense of him as well. And if you want to listen to it on Audible, I think that's fun too, especially if you're driving someplace, and so it's a nice listen.
Great.
Thank you so much. You were excellent.
Yeah. Oh, good. I'm glad you enjoyed it. It's definitely something I find really, really fascinating. I thought others would too, so that's good. I'm glad. And type it in, look for Blue Mind. You'll find a lot of information online, and a lot of people are doing some cool things too. He doesn't have any kind of patent on Blue Mind, so if any of you wanted to create some kind of company or something with it, he's got a lot of people that are using the Blue Mind reference or teaching it. He'd love to get it in the schools or teach to any age, really. So
wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Tina, for having me.
This is great. Thank you.
Yeah, I loved it.
All right, take care.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye now.
Bye.